Chapter 6. The Open Door. Stand Straight. Through a break in the stone wall that hid him from sight, Stand Straight watched the people who entered the house. His uncle had given him his task to scout the enemy. Stand Straight was determined to do it well. He watched through the circle of his eye stone and counted them as they arrived. 12 so far. He saw that it was as his uncle had said. There were not as great many of these people, and it did not look as if any of them would be strong fighters. His uncle had said to wait until all Bostoniac were inside. Then their party would approach the cabin from their hiding places in all directions. Stand Straight closed his eyes to imagine what would happen if there was fighting. If they set fire to the house, some would come out and try to put out the flames. That would be the time to strike. If the people did not struggle too much, then they would take them captive. If the Bostoniac fought too hard, some of them would be badly hurt or killed. When one made a raid, Seize the Wind had explained one had to do it quickly as a hawk striking a rabbit. The smoke from a burning cabin would draw others, but by then it would be too late. Stand Straight was not afraid of fighting, but he found himself wondering once more about these people they were about to fight. He lifted up his eye stone again. As always, through that stone he saw things more clearly. He saw how these whites walked. The way people walked told much about them. Some of the Bostoniac walked more confidently than others, but none of them walked like warriors. He saw how some of the men and women who came walked alone. He saw the way some of the people walked together as families. Those 4 just arriving were clearly a family. The woman, surely the mother, walked with quick steps of a doe, looking back to be sure her fawns were with her. The father walked as a bear does, a slow, rolling walk. The older of the brothers, there was an anger in his walk, even though he was limping and leaning on a walking stick. His shoulders were hunched, his chin down. He moved like a wolf, smelling the ground, sniffing the air, alert. Looking at him through the eye stone, Stand Straight could see that he was one who would be a good friend and a dangerous enemy. This must be the boy who Watches the Hawk had thought of capturing. The one who Watches the Hawk had said could become his brother to take the place of Breaks the Sticks, who was killed by crazy white men. Then there was the younger brother. Stand Straight watched the smaller boy closely. He looked to be the age Stand Straight had been when he found the eye stone, the age of his own younger brother when he had died. It was hard to think of his younger brother. Sometimes when Stand Straight closed his eyes, Breaks the Sticks was there before him, looking just as he had looked when he was alive. His little brother had been quick to laugh and even quicker to play. Nothing ever made him angry, and no one was ever angry at him. Even though he always played tricks on people, Breaks the Sticks had been loved by everyone. It was good to see his little brother that way, held in the eye of his memory. But sometimes when Stand Straight tried to remember his brother, he did not see him alive. He saw him covered with blood, shot many times, the laughter stolen from his face forever. Looking through the eye stone at the young Bostoniac boy, Stand Straight could see that he was not one to laugh and play jokes. He was not like Breaks the Sticks had been. He was more serious. But Stand Straight could see also that this boy could make a good younger brother. He would be sure that this boy was not hurt when the raid began. The last of them had gone into the cabin now. It was not a very well-built cabin. The ones they built in their village at Odanak were much better. This cabin had been so roughly made you could see between the logs. Cold winds would cut through like knives. It was strange. Perhaps this was only a place for them to have their councils, thought Stand Straight. They had not shut the door behind them when they went in. Instead, the door had been left partly open, the way one of his own people might leave open the flap of a lodge to show that visitors were welcome. That was strange, too. Then Stand Straight realized there was yet another strange thing, what he had not seen. At this time, when war and the possibility of battle swirled around them all like the northern storm winds, not one of those white people had been carrying a gun. Stand Straight turned and made hand motions toward the forest. All are inside. No guns. Seize the Wind nodded and signaled back to his nephew. His hand held out and his palm toward the ground. Stay there. Do not move. He turned and did the same to the other men, who were well hidden farther back among the trees. Stay. Do not move. As Stand Straight watched through his eye stone, his uncle lifted up his head and looked at the cabin. He moved forward and climbed over the wall. Then Seize the Wind stood up in plain sight of the cabin. Stand Straight did not know how his uncle could stand there so calmly. His own heart was pounding so hard that he felt as if a partridge were lodged in his chest and beating its wings to escape. Stand Straight turned slightly so that he could look through the eye stone at the small wooden lodge into which the white people had gone. Then he saw what his uncle saw. There, where the logs were unchinked to a space the width of 3 fingers, someone was looking out, straight at Seize the Wind. Stand Straight could see the wide eyes and the pale cheeks of the one who looked out, and he knew who it was. It was the boy that Watches the Hawk had wanted to capture. Suddenly, the pounding in Stand Straight's heart stopped. He felt calm, and he also felt afraid. His fear was no longer for himself, but for the boy who looked out from that crack between two worlds, their world of forests and rivers, and the pale-faced boy's world of wooden lodges. "My almost brother," Stand Straight whispered. "Do not shout. Do not cry out." Then the boy's face vanished from the crack. Stand Straight waited for the first cry of alarm, for musket barrels to appear, but all remained silent within the lodge.